The leave is in reaction to pressure for the Health Minister, Kwekwaji Mainmenu, to resign following his involvement in the Sputnik V vaccine deal. Earlier reports suggested that the minister had resigned from his position, but this claim was debunked by persons close to him. The Health Minister has come under intense criticism for breaching procurement processes while trying to secure vaccines for the country. He signed an agreement without parliamentary or cabinet approvals and failed to seek approval from the Public Procurement Authority, PPA. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, is on record to have advised him against the deal but refused to heed to his advice. The minority in Parliament last week called on President Akufo-Addo to immediately dismiss Kweku Agyemang-Menu, saying he was not fit to be in office. They argued that he violated the 1992 Constitution and his oath of office by trying to procure vaccines through middlemen without recourse to Parliament or Cabinet. Kweku Agyemang-Menu, in a letter dated August 2nd, 2021, wrote to Sheikh Al Maktoum demanding a refund of $2,800,000 paid for vaccines not supplied. The Sheikh, in return, has written to the Health Ministry and has indicated his willingness to refund the said amount. Kweku Agyemang-Menu is currently in his constituency in Doma Central and is most likely to join the president as he tours the Bono region. Kweku Agyemang-Menu is expected to resume work next week.
The recommendations are categorized into two groups: the responsibilities of the Electoral Commission and the three arms of government towards making Ghana's electoral process transparent and fair. On the part of the Commission, the NDC is seeking to change, maintain or enhance certain electoral practices. They want the Commission to abolish the regional collation system that was introduced in the 2020 polls. The EC introduced the regional layer of collation to collect constituency results in all 16 regions before transmission to the national headquarters. But the opposition party believes this layer has only introduced an element of opaqueness into the collation process and ended up as a veritable engine of electoral fraud. Timing for the end of polls has been a matter of debate in the aftermath of the 2020 polls. Civil society groups, after a post-election retreat, proposed for a review of the end time to 3 p.m., while the EC and IPAC agreed to change the closing time to 4 p.m. The NDC, however, believes the voting time should be maintained from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The party is therefore asking for the time to be maintained, and the EC must ensure that appropriate arrangements for lightning are put in place to allow for night-time counting of votes and collation of results.
The nature of our part of the world is that there are people who, when you go to the remote areas, always have to go to the farm before they can get a meal for the day. If they don't go to the farm for that day, they don't get a meal for the day. Some want to go to the farm before they come and vote. So if you say that you are closing polls at 2 p.m. or you are closing polls at 3 p.m., then you are disenfranchising such people who would have to go and do certain things before they come and vote.
The NDC, in their 2020 election petition, raised concerns on how attempts to get the EC to address some grievances with collated presidential results transmitted to the national headquarters proved futile. One of the party's agents under oath alleged that the Electoral Commissioner deceived them to leave their post when they notified her of errors in some of the results, only for the results to be declared in their absence. They are therefore proposing the constitution of an election adjudication committee. The committee, which is supposed to be comprised of EC officials, representatives of political parties and independent candidates, and CSOs, is expected to exist both at the constituency and national level. This committee is to be tasked with the responsibility of reviewing disputed presidential election results prior to the EC's publication of the final declaration of the presidential election results and gazetting of same. The NDC believes no court action challenging the election results should commence prior to the completion of the work of the election adjudication committees at the various levels.
As you may be aware, this entire reform proposals that we have made, some of them are already existent. For example, this particular one is already existent, but the Electoral Commission does not enforce that. Usually they use their returning officers to do that, and that creates major problems for us.
The NDC is also asking the EC to publish all results on its site before deadline for filing of election petitions, as well as a public broadcast of the presidential vote collation process as and when constituency presidential results are received. Key amongst the recommendations targeted at the legislature, executive and judiciary is a proposal for a reform of the appointment process of the Electoral Commissioner. The NDC wants the status quo changed for the appointment of the EC chairperson to receive prior approval from Parliament.
Mistrust of the Electoral Commission has become a major threat to our security, and we believe that such restriction of the appointment process will fix the mistrust that usually engulf the appointment of the Electoral Commission. We are saying, for example, that the Supreme Court justices, their appointment goes through Parliament, and Parliament, as we know, is bipartisan. So if we get the Electoral Commission's appointment go to Parliament, and we have 2/3 of members of Parliament, voting to approve that Electoral Commission chairperson, it would create that semblance of, acceptability.
The opposition party also wants special courts to be designated for the prosecution of electoral offences. Electoral violence has been a major setback of Ghana's democratic credentials. About 7 people lost their lives in the 2020 election, but the EC chairperson indicated that her outfit cannot be held liable as security during election is not part of her mandate. But the NDC believes the law should be promulgated to spell out the roles of the EC, police and military as far as election security is concerned.
We believe that it is important for clarity to be on who is responsible for election-based security and how election-based security architecture is actually designed. We have made recommendation that it should be defined clearly in the law, and a platform should be created which political parties will be involved in a way to, as it were, plan and deploy election-based security.
The NDC is further demanding for the Electoral Commission to be divided into 2 bodies, one which will be named as the Office for the Regulation of Political Parties, which will be in charge of regulating the affairs of political parties, and the Electoral Commission will be responsible for conducting elections.
We believe that the mushrooming of political parties and the fact that the Electoral Commission are able to abuse this deficiency of our political parties management system would be dealt with to a larger extent if we are able to decouple the regulation of political parties from the electoral management system, such that we would have an office of regulation of political parties, so that the political parties law could be fully implemented and handled by the regulatory body, whilst we have the Electoral Commission focusing on its core mandate of election management. We believe if these 3 core objectives and proposals are looked at, it will go a long way to help us.